Ah yes, the forbidden hybrid. The is it watercolor or is it acrylic paint? Well, let's find out, shall we? Welcome to my chaotic yet peaceful channel. I'm Deanna and today I will be showing you some swatches of my new acrylic gouache 24 color set from Holbein. I am so freaking excited to try this set out. I have painted with acrylics for a lot of my life and with watercolors for a couple of years now. I feel that I need a change in my main painting medium right now. I recently went to a gouache workshop and I experimented with the paint, and it gave me a nice mixture between what I like about acrylic paint and what I like about watercolor paint. And trust me, there's a lot of freaking things that I do not like about watercolor paint, okay? I think that watercolor is not my long-term medium, although I enjoy some elements of it. I don't think that I'm going to be painting with watercolor for my whole life. I know this sounds crazy. I know that I have not painted with acrylic gouache like at all, but I have a strong feeling that this is going to be my medium, you know? So what the heck is acrylic gouache anyway? It's a newer kind of type of paint. I think it was first introduced in the 90s, but I could be wrong about that. It was actually quite hard to find a lot of information about this paint. I don't think it's as old a medium as, you know, traditional gouaches. So I'm just gonna read you right off my computer screen what the small little Wikipedia section says about it. Acrylic gouache, a highly concentrated pigment similar to traditional gouache, but it is mixed with an acrylic-based binder, unlike traditional gouache, which is mixed with gum arabic. It is water-soluble when wet and dries to a matte, opaque, and water-resistant surface when dry. Acrylic gouache differs from acrylic paint because it contains additives to ensure the matte finish. I added that was not part of the Wikipedia section. So I think because it has this acrylic polymer emulsion, makes it more like an acrylic paint. So should this paint be called matte acrylic paint? In my opinion, yes, but of course, acrylic gouache sounds a lot fancier, a lot better. Hi, this is Editing Deanna here. After painting with it, I changed my mind. It should most definitely be called acrylic gouache because it has elements of both watercolor and acrylic when you paint with it. The experts and professional peoples who name these supplies know what they're talking about. This is my official apology for being misinformed and presumptuous. Thanks. Back to the video we go. So I have watched a couple of videos about acrylic gouache, and what a lot of people don't get is that acrylic paint and watercolor are both water-based. So some people say that acrylic is like acrylic-based, but that's not a thing. Both of these paints are water-based. So if you add water to them while you're painting with them, you know, they dilute. But then acrylic just dries and it's not water soluble. So this paint does the same thing as acrylic does. It also sticks to just as many surfaces as acrylic does. So if you paint with traditional gouache, it would stick to surfaces just like watercolor, which means that it does not stick to surfaces, except paper. Not me being upset with watercolor this whole video. I picked Holbein because I think they have such vivid and bright, beautiful colors, and if you are new to this channel and don't know my style of painting, basically give me the most unnatural looking color and I will paint with it. Like a bright pink, a bright blue, a purple. The last thing I'm going to say before we get into these swatches is that the air in Australia, okay, I'm not going to say all of Australia because I'm in Adelaide. So the air in Adelaide is so fucking dry that sometimes when I paint with acrylics, I feel like it dries in like 5 to 10 minutes when they should be drying in like, let's say 30 minutes, right? So you have to make decisions a lot quicker when you're painting, especially on a very hot day. It's a struggle to paint here. So yeah, I don't know what it is about the air here, but your paint will dry so freaking fast. Oh, and also I just wanted to show you what I did end up painting in that workshop. I just wish that this wasn't water soluble, so I'm hoping that I can paint some more sunsets with this new set. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, sorry about that. I know that song is a meme now, but it's actually a good song. Pretty funny that I had that blasting in the background. Alright, so I'm swatching on 300 GSM paper. This is a decently thick size paper and usually works well for my watercolor paints, but it did bend slightly with the gouache, which you will see later on. I sectioned out 24 rectangles to paint in, and I decided to leave the 2B pencil lines there just so I can see how much coverage the paint can give me. I had these long swatch sections where at the top I did a few dabs of the paint without water. Then towards the middle, I added in a little bit of water to smoothen it out, and this is where the paint looks its best in my opinion. And at the bottom of the swatch section, it was basically just water with very little paint. I wanted to see if this medium does blend like watercolor. For some colors, it does do that, but not all of them can give you a smooth look like watercolor does. You can see quite clearly some have brush strokes within the swatches and some don't. I'm quite happy that I could achieve some slight sheer watercolor effect though with them, because you definitely can't do this with normal acrylic paint, so that is exciting. As for the colors themselves, I like them a lot. I was painting on a bit of a cloudy day, and this light is just from the window, so you can see that the colors still look very sharp. It was interesting to see this paint dry so matte as well. As someone who is used to acrylics looking glossy, it took a bit of time for my eyes to adjust. I would say that painting at night with a normal home ceiling light with this paint might be more comfortable than with something shiny, since the acrylic gouache doesn't reflect. I sometimes do tend to paint late at night, so I am interested to try that out sometime soon too. I used the flat number 1 brush to paint the swatches just in case you were curious about that. And here's a somewhat satisfying tape peel. I decided to label my swatches too, just to make that easier for me to pick out the paint when I do use it. Also, I messed up when I was swatching. The pink was supposed to be next to the magenta, but we won't talk about that. And here they are close up, you can really see the colors. My favorites were the navy and cerulean blues, red violet, and leaf and emerald green. I also pre-cut my paper to fit inside the lid of the box. So this wasn't in my original plan, but I did have some spare time to try out a quick painting. Please bear in mind that this is my first time ever painting with these, so I decided to not put too much pressure on mixing colors. I decided to use them straight out of the tube. A little really does go a very long way with this paint. I had in mind some rainbow clouds, didn't use any references, just straight out of my head. As you can see, my blending technique needs work, but I've been needing work with blending anything my whole life, so why start working on it now, besties, am I right? I will also say that this paint has a certain slight sticky quality to it. I know when I say sticky that sounds bad, but I don't mean it in a bad way. It just has a bit more of a grip than acrylics or watercolors do, so I think that takes some getting used to as well. I love that I can layer that white so crisp on top of those solid colors. I will most definitely enjoy doing highlights in future paintings. And I mean, how cute does that look? It took me about 30 minutes and I was able to bring to life this paper with the colors straight from the tubes. This was such a good experience for me. I know it will take some time and patience on my end to get the medium to work as I want it to, but I can see high potential with it, and I'm just overall really excited. And if you clicked on this video to leave a hate comment about watercolor, please feel free to do so in the comment section down below. I'm just kidding. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. You know.